What's up, my friends? John Baruti here from, you know, Baruti Success. Today we're talking about the pros and the cons for both lenders and borrowers of personal lending. Let's get started. So personal lending, private lending, peer-to-peer lending, whatever you want to call it, since all the increases in the interest rates, it's getting harder and harder for businesses, especially small businesses, to get loans, to operate their business, to get credit lines. It's not as easy as it once was. Actually, it was never easy, but money flowed much easier, especially, when I was in business. And let's call it 2013 to 2018. Credit was decently easier to get, right? Interest rates were super low, and to go and get a traditional bank loan, which is 90% of the time what I got, or an SBA loan, which also is 90% of what I got for my business, it was easier. Today, you walk into a bank, and especially if you have not great credit and not great history, maybe you've missed some payments, maybe your business was a little slow, getting funding is hard, right? So personal lending, private lending, peer-to-peer lending, also known as hard money lending, but that's kind of a whole different thing. I'll do a whole different video on hard money. But personal lending has gotten more popular. Why? Not everyone that does peer-to-peer or personal lending has a poop load of money in the bank, right? They are people that have some money that want to make more than your traditional interest rates, right? Also, there's lending, let's call it syndicates or lending conglomerates out there that someone like me, let's say I get a project in front of me, somebody needs money, but I don't feel comfortable lending them my money. So I can go to a outside source and say, hey, here's Carl, and Carl has a landscaping business. He's looking for a $50,000 either line of credit or he's looking for a business loan. He doesn't particularly have a building or any assets to put against it. It's a traditional business loan on basically his ability to pay the loan back and his business's ability to pay the loan back. They'll underwrite it. They'll look at what goes through his bank accounts in the last 3, 6, 8, 10, 12 months. They'll do a soft credit check as far as, is he a horrible credit risk, and they'll do an evaluation, and they'll choose the interest rate and the time frame that we can give that person, Carl, money for, right? So for Carl, he might be paying double, triple what he could if he went to a traditional bank. But the chances of Carl getting a loan from the traditional bank are almost zero. So Carl will come to someone like me or someone like, again, a syndicate that I'm associated with, and we can get him funded fast, and we can get him funded with not too much pain. One sheet of information from Carl will ask for bank statements. We won't ask for huge amounts of data, P&Ls, balance sheet, all the things a traditional bank would use, we're not going to ask for. So why would they come to a personal lender, private lender? Ease of use, right? And we're going to go through the pros and cons, but ease of use, quickness of funds, and most of the time you can't get funded from a traditional source. Now, that being said, I'm finding out very quickly this lending, commercial lending, is got a lot of scams, and there are a lot of not good people in this business, right? Not only are they scammy people, but they really don't know what the frig they're doing. And that's upsetting to me, right? So why would you do it? That's the main point. So what are the pros to the lending borrower? Well, first, we just talked about it. Fast approval time. A traditional bank, you walk in, you give them all your information, your tax returns, your bank statements, your P&L, your child, your second child, your third child's arm. They're talking to your accountant, which is costing you money. They may even have to talk to your attorney, which is costing you money. All these things, that might take minimum 3, 5, 10, 15 weeks, and then they still can't fund you. You know how annoying that is? You know how trying to get funded, you have payroll to pay, you have bills to pay, you have vendors to pay, you have all these bills, you need the money, and you can't get it from the bank for weeks, if you even get it. From a private lender, you have the ability for them to look at your bank statements, look at you as a person, look at your business model and say, yeah, Sally, you're good. We're going to finance you. And you're going to pay X amount. It's going to be higher, period. You're going to pay a lot more money coming to a private lender. You have to understand that. Most of the people, before they even come to a private lender, they're using their credit cards at 20, 25, 30, 32%. Right? So coming to a private lender, you're going to pay high interest rates. Are they going to be that high? It all depends on your situation, right? But the number one pro is fast approval. Number two is flexibility of eligibility, right? So again, the things that the bank would say, you got to go away. A private lender is going to look past that. A private lender is going to look at, okay, what has been going through your bank account? What type of business are you in? Is it a failing business? Is it a business that's sustaining itself, just needs cash flow? You know, most of the time, it's business people like me that have either been in the business that they're going to invest in, or have some sort of an idea about business. I'm not saying bankers don't know that, but bankers have much more stringent things that they have to look at. They have Dodd-Frank. They have a whole bunch of situations that they have to make sure that they're underwriting for. Personal lenders, private lenders, peer-to-peer lenders, we don't have that, right? We can make those determinations on the spot. Number three, as far as pros, customizing loan terms, right? Again, a bank is stringent. You're going to get X amount of money for X amount of time at X amount of interest rate. A private lender, we have the ability to do very creative things. Is the loan not going to start for a while? Is it going to be interest only for a while? Is it going to be interest plus principal with a balloon? There's multiple ways we can structure a loan. So coming to a private lender, you can get creative. You can't really do that with a bank. Number four, diverse purposes for getting a loan, right? As a private lender, we're not as stringent as, what are you doing with the money, Carl? Where are you going to put it? Exactly, tell me every penny where it's going. We're not that stringent, right? We're going to ask what you're doing with the money. We're going to look at your bank statements, make sure there's enough cash flow to afford it. And we're going to look at your business structure. We're going to make a determination. Is this business structurally sound to get this loan? A bank is going to be, they're going to cross their T's, dot their I's. They're going to make sure that, again, you have first, second, third child. They're all part of the loan. And if you don't pay it back, they're all going to jail. A little dramatic, I get it. But it's much different going to a private lender. We're not asking the minutia of what you're looking for the money for. We just want to make sure you can pay the money back, right? So it's a much easier process. Number five, personalization. Knowing your lender, knowing the person you're dealing with. Up to this point, anybody that I lent money to, I knew them, or I knew them from a friend or family member. And the same thing with me. I borrowed money from family members. It's how I got most of my financing in the early days to keep my businesses afloat. I went to family members. Just like going to a bank, I had to do contracts, and that's how it should be. But you have a much more personal relationship. And not saying you can't have a personal relationship with a banker, but most of the time, it's not the old days. You're not going to go to Carl down at the local ABC bank and he's going to be there for 50 years. It just doesn't happen. When you go to a personal lender, you're going to deal with that person. You're going to deal with a mom and pop or one or two people to give you the money. Now that could be good and it could be bad. As long as it's done all on the up and up, you have contracts and you have an understanding between the two of you, have an expectation of repayment, you have an expectation of when the money's going to come, everything goes smooth. When things go awry, let's say, or poopy, is when there's no contracts. It's
no problem, Carl. Here's 20 grand. Pay me when you can.
No, don't do that. I've done that once, and that deal went bad. That particular person I didn't talk to for many years, and then because they were friends with me, they came back into my life, paid the debt off, because I made it very clear that I was unhappy with the fact that they didn't pay, and then we became friends. Unfortunately, that individual passed away, and I'm glad that we got to straighten all that out before that person did pass away, because he was a good friend, and I just assumed, this is a long time ago, he was making good money, he had a great job, why wouldn't he pay it back? And people do strange things. So again, it's great to have the personalness of going to someone you know. As I roll this out and as I do more lending, obviously I'm going to have people that I don't know, but they're going to build a relationship with me. If they borrow $5 or $10 or $20,000 now and they pay it back properly, they give me all the interest, and they come in there looking for a $30 or $40 or $50,000 loan, it's going to be much easier for me to say, of course, Carl, you just paid it back. Let's sign another contract, X amount of dollars, and keep going. And I grow with their business, and that's the personalization of having the personal side of peer-to-peer, personal lending, and private lending. The cons of private, personal, peer-to-peer lending for the borrowers. Elephant in the room, higher interest rates. You know that. You're coming to a personal lender. There's reasons that you're coming to me. Maybe it's just you don't want to go through the paperwork. You don't want to go through the rigmarole, going down to the bank, getting switched from bank lender to bank lender, having all the paperwork, accountant, lawyer, the whole 9 yards. You just want it to be simple. It's the main reason you're coming to me. But for that simplicity, you're going to pay more. Now, if you're an excellent credit, if you have hundreds of thousands of dollars rolling through your bank account, if your expenses are low, and you just don't want to deal with the bank, your interest rate's going to be super low. Right? It's going to be comparable to a local bank. It's going to be a couple points higher, but it's not going to be crazy, right? You're not going to be paying a ton of points up front, right? Because you're a good credit risk. You're a good business risk. And you're coming to me to streamline things. That's great, right? But if you're not, which most people are not that are coming to a personal lender or private lender, you're paying 15, 20, 30%. And rightfully so, because the risk is so high for someone like me. But listen, you're not a bad person. You might have just gotten yourself in trouble. Business might have just taken a downturn. You just need to get the cash. And this happened to me multiple times. I had a thriving business, but cash got tight. My customers didn't pay on time. Certain things, I needed money. My business structure wasn't bad. It's just that times got bad. So I used credit cards and I used family money, right? People that I went to and I paid a decent interest rate to that were in the family, and they made out and I made out. There's nothing wrong with that, right? So again, higher interest rates, elephant in the room, it's one of the biggest cons. Okay, 2, lack of regulations. Now, business to business, which is what I do. I can't do business to consumer, but that's considered, because of the interest rates that we charge, it's considered predatory lending. Can't do it, right? But I can loan to businesses. I can loan to LLC. That being said, there's no real regulations for this. There's no Dodd-Frank. There's no check boxes that have to happen. It's just money to money. And if you don't pay, I can go after you, and I can bring you small claims court or regular court, right? You have to know that, because a lot of times people just want the money, and they'll come to a private lender and they'll see that. And some people, again, I haven't been in this long, but some people in this business are not trustworthy people. They're just not. So they're going to charge you a ridiculous amount. They're going to charge you a ton of points. And you're like, yeah, just give me the money. I need it fast. Oh, I can get it in 2 days? Yeah. Here, just sign here, Paul. Okay. And you sign. And then you don't realize what you're signing. Right? And there's no regulations to help you. There's no one to say, well, I didn't know what. No, Carl. No, Paul. You're a business person. You have to buyer beware, right? It's on you to read and understand what you're signing, right? No matter, I feel bad for you that you didn't read it and you needed the money, but listen, you signed what you signed. If you can't pay, we're coming after you for that money. And then that could bury your business. You need to know what you're signing. So lack of regulations is definitely a con, right? Risk of default. Again, if you don't know what you're doing as the borrower, and you're just, I just need money. I just need money to get me to tomorrow, to get through this payroll, to get to this vendor, to get to my utilities, to get to, and you don't really sit down and realize your business. Am I making money? Actually look at what's coming in, what's going out. Am I even making money? Do I need to raise prices? Do I need to advertise more? Am I too employee heavy? If you're not aware of what you're doing and you just go and get money, and somebody says, okay, Carl, here's your money, but you're paying a very high interest rate. You're paying points up front. I don't care. I just have to get from A to B. But your business can't really afford it. We look at your bank statement and see all this cash going through. Okay, he's got enough cash going through. I'm going to pull out that money automatically out of your bank account, right? I'm going to pull the money out before you can even pay a vendor. So I'm going to become first. And then all of a sudden you're getting all these payments taken out of your business account and you can't pay your regular bills because you're not doing the right thing in your business. Well, again, that's on you. You have to understand business to go to a personal lender and read and understand what you're signing. This is a perfect relationship for the right situation. But in the wrong situation, this could be a death sentence to your business, and you need to understand that. And again, this is something that buyer beware. Now, am I going to go to the extent, I don't know what's going on in your head. I don't know what you're not showing me. So I'm going to look at the basics. I'm going to do my due diligence and underwriting. But if everything looks good, but you're doing the wrong thing in your business, and I give you the money, and let's even say you don't even pay your vendors. You take the money, you go to Atlantic City. Take the money, you buy a new car. Take the money and, I don't know, go on a vacation instead of doing, which a lot of times happens. People get an influx of money. Oh, I got 50 grand. All right, well, I'm just going to take a $10,000 vacation because I deserve it. Well, the whole purpose of the money there, Carl, was to get your business on track. You had a cash shortage. You need to infuse the cash in your business. What you do with the money is on you. If you can't pay me, we're coming after you, okay? So again, buyer beware. There's risk. There's risk to default. This one is one, again, that I just talked about, and it's kind of squirrely, but personal relationships. Most people have come, well, all people that I've lent money to knew me, okay? I knew them, they knew me, I knew their business, I knew their situation intimately, personally. That's a good thing, and it's a bad thing. Again, I've seen, and including employees. I had employees that they couldn't finance their car, they couldn't finance their apartment, they couldn't finance, they were just bad with money. So I lent them the money, but they signed a contract that if in an event they didn't pay me, I took it out of their payroll because technically that's illegal. But if they sign that off that they're allowed to, no matter what, even if they quit or you fire them, that you're allowed to take it out of their paycheck, you're allowed to, right? So every employee had to sign that. They had to sign that piece of paper that said, no matter what, John, you're going to get paid. There was a contract. Now, just knowing that there's a contract there, there's an understanding, right? So I can't remember once that I got screwed from an employee that didn't pay me back, because if they didn't, I just automatically pulled. Most of them wanted to take, just do me a favor, and let's say I'm getting $1,000 a week, and just take $250 out of my payroll every week, and I'll pay you off that way. And that's 90% of the time how it happened. And it was perfect for me, perfect for them, right? Because I needed to keep them housed. I needed to keep them with an automobile. I needed them to come into work. Sometimes I didn't even charge them interest because I needed them to, getting people to show up was hard enough. So if they didn't have a place to live or a car, and I'm offering them, okay, here's $10,000, $5,000, go get yourself a car, make sure you're coming in. I'm going to take that out of your payroll every week, every 2 weeks or whatever. It worked perfectly. But having that relationship is a little wonky. Being an employee and owing your boss or a good friend or a family member, it's a tough situation. Sometimes I'm not even great with it. I'll be honest with you. Separating business from family and pleasure is hard sometimes. That's why I do very specific contracts. That's why anybody that has ever borrowed money with me has, again, I go over very in detail. They have to understand what they're signing. And listen, if they don't pay me, I get it, Sally, that you're my sister-in-law's brother's mother. I get it. But you borrowed money. So if you went to Johnny down the street, you would have had to pay him. So you got to pay me. So the relationship is good and it could be bad. Most of the time, 90%, 95% of the time, for me, it was always a good thing. Okay? The pros of private lending for the lender. Moi, the person giving out the money. Now, elephant in the room again. It's making the money. It's the attractiveness of the interest rate, right? I can't make 20, 25%, 28% in the bank. I can't even make 15% if you're a good risk and I'm charging you 12 to 15%. I can't make that in the bank, right? I can make that lending out money. And that's why that's why I've done this all these years. And that's why I've chose to make this a business. Because for me, if I'm going to go back in business and whatever it is, say it's a bakery or say it's a laundry or say whatever it is, I have all the employees, I have all the risk, I have all the equipment, I have all of that. To net, when you break it all down, let's say I'm a genius and I can make 20% on my money in a business. Net. That's paying everything, including taxes, right? Which most of the time is not the case, by the way. But let's say I'm a genius and I make 20%. Or I can loan the money, not have employees, have a contract, and just make the 15 to 20% easily. Yes, please. And again, that was the biggest reason for me going in this. Because to be honest, I didn't want a ton of employees. I didn't want a ton of responsibility. I'm kind of at a point in my career that I like bringing my kids, which I got to get to in a couple minutes, to sports. I like going out to dinner. I enjoy spending time with people that I love. So yeah, not looking to build a business with a ton of employees. So that's the biggest pro, right? Now, diversification of investment. So I can invest in real estate. I can invest in equipment. I can invest in businesses. I can invest in a whole broad way. I can give loans out for a whole broad scenario of investments. A lot of people that do this are either they specify their fix and flips, or they do equipment, or they do business loans. I like diversifying. So I'm gonna, again, I do multiple loans. I give out multiple loans by the situation. Business loans, equipment loans, fix and flip property loans. So for me, it's diversification, okay? Control, gonna put it out there, right? Yeah, a little bit of a control freak. I know it. I'm working on it. But literally, if I don't want to, if I look at something, a deal, and I don't want to finance it, I don't finance it. If I look at a deal and it's just not quite great for my money, and I want to still help the person out and make some money on it, I can, again, broker it out. Basically, control. Listen, in basic business, you can tell a customer to go bunk off, or take them. But in general, you have to deal with the public. And for this, it's more of me dealing with business people and me having the control, again, to say, I like this deal, I'm going to fund it. I got to be honest with you, Paul, this isn't for me. Go see Bob, or Jerry, not happening. This isn't working, right? So control. That is a big part for me. Again, as I get older, as my knowledge base is smarter, I like the fact that I could say yes or no. And either way, it doesn't really affect me. And I really, really like that. So again, this is a pro and it's a con. So it's in both. The personal relationships, right? So the pro is that first of all, I love talking to people. I love talking to people about business. I love talking to my family and friends about business. So if somebody comes to me, most people, listen, I give away free advice. I love it. You take it or you don't take it. You think I suck or you think I'm great, whatever. I just love talking about it. So if you're getting money from me, if I'm lending you money, I'm building a relationship, both business and personal, right? And that's honestly, it's the type of person I am. I love relationships. I love building relationships. I have relationships. I have lifetime relationships with both customers, family, friends. It's what I love to do. I love to talk to people. I love being with people. So this gives me that ability. It gives me the ability to help people and talk to people and discuss business. Those three things is a game changer for me, because that's what I love to do all the time. So this basically gives me that love all bundled up in one. Now, the cons for the lender. The elephant in the room, the biggest one, default. Somebody doesn't pay me. Has it happened? Yes. Have I gotten my money? Yes. Has it been a pain in the ass? Yes. Have I ever gotten screwed that I lost the principal? I can't remember any situation that happened. Can it happen? Absolutely. That's why I have to be diligent on the underwriting. I have to be diligent, especially with my money, because I'm not looking to lose any of it, on what I finance personally with my money, and also on deals that I'm handing off to the underwriter. I don't want to just hand off a crap. I don't want the underwriter to look at me and build a relationship with me, and I keep constantly giving them crap deals. Oh, it's not good enough for me. Here, you take it. No. It might not be perfect for me, but it's a good deal, not only for the borrower, but for the lender, right? So everybody wins. And in every situation, when everybody wins, that is a perfect situation, okay? So default. Biggest risk. I do worry about it. I'm not going to say it keeps me up at night, because if I feel that it's just not good, I just don't do it. It's control. I just won't do the deal, right? Lack of liquidity. So it's definitely a con. I do worry about it. I don't know where I'm going to be, right? So I want to make sure that I have the ability to buy real estate if it comes up and it's cheap, right? But I also want to make the returns on these loans. So it's a balancing act, okay? Balancing act. Regulatory and legal aspects. So technically, I don't need a license to go business to business lending. I don't need any certifications. And, did I go to school for finance? Yes. Was I in business for over 30 years in multiple businesses? Yes. Have I been successful in multiple businesses? Yes. Do I invest my own money and have been successful at it? Yes. All those things, great, right? But you don't need a license for this. That's good. And it's bad. And the reason it's bad is because I'll give you a perfect example. I started doing this, and I didn't know I couldn't lend to a person that's going to make a perfect example. A person was looking to buy a commercial building, but it had an apartment on top. That apartment was going to be that person's primary residence. Well, Carl, I can't lend to that person. It's their primary residence. Yes, technically, it's a commercial property, but it's the person's primary residence. So if I charge them the interest rates that I would charge, in the state of New Jersey, it's considered predatory lending. Right? The judge, if that person stopped paying and went to, oh, judge, I'm just a lonely old person and I didn't realize what I was signing and this is my main house. Shame on you, Mr. Baruti. You should have known that. And I could have lost the money that I invested. I didn't know that. That's why I hire attorneys. That's why I hire accountants that know this stuff. Regulations. I don't know all the regulations. And even the regulations that are in this industry, they're a little wonky. So I have to be very cognizant of what I can do, what I can't do, what is legal, what isn't legal. And listen, if you don't know those regulations and you put your money and you put your neck out there, you could lose your money. So it's very important to know the regulations, and that's definitely a con. If you don't know them, if you're not learning this industry, and again, have I been doing it long term? Yes, but not at this level, not at a professional level. So it's important. Okay, loan servicing and collecting. Listen, my whole career as a bakery, 90% of my time was spent collecting money, right? Banging on doors. Hi, Charlie, I know you had $300 worth of bread last week. Can I get paid? Oh, John, yeah, we sent the check out. No, you didn't, Charlie. I've been with you for, 3 years, 5 years. You never send the check. Okay, come back tomorrow. I'll pay you cash. You get run around, right? Very much so in the lending business. You hope, you set up a time, I want to get paid by the 7th every month, and you get that payment. Are you going to get it every 7th? No. Do you have to knock on doors, remind people, send emails? Hey, Charlie, that payment's due. Oh, okay, I'm going to send it out. So the whole collection process, it's not as easy as set it and forget it. A lot of this is, going after the money. And I got to be honest with you, I don't mind it because it gets me out there, it gets me talking to people, Again, it gets me into the business world as far as we discuss what's going on. They tell me their woes. They tell me what's good in business, what's bad in business. They wind up cutting me a check and I go on my merry way. So I've done it for a long time and I enjoy it, but it's not the best sometimes, especially when somebody owes you or they haven't paid you, especially if you got to bring them to court and you got to sue them. That always sucks. But the collecting process, right? The collection efforts. In conclusion, there's a lot of pros, there's a lot of cons for both the borrower and the lender, right? This industry is a necessary industry. The more I get into it, the more I absolutely love it because it helps me and it helps someone else. Somebody needs the money to operate their business. Somebody needs the money to buy inventory. Somebody needs the money to expand. And I'm making money on it. So it's a perfect situation that I'm basically selling money, right? That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm selling money. So there's pros and cons to both sides. The wind-up for me and why I chose to get into this business is the pros way outweigh the cons. And you have to be intelligent enough to make the pros outweigh the cons. So, basically, that's what I'm doing. Like I said, I'm going to come to you a couple times a week now talking about lending. If you have any questions, make sure you hit me up. Any questions about this video or anything about lending that you have questions, make sure you ask, right? Because those comments down below definitely help the YouTube channel out. The YouTube channel will help me get more people to lend to. I can help more people. They can help me. You know how it goes. All right? So, love you guys. Thanks for showing up again. We'll see you on the next one.